Hi there, this is Iron Drac. Haven't made a video in a little while, figured I would. It's about 3:30 in the morning, and I can't sleep. I'm coming off a medication called Invega. This will be the 15th day without my injection, because it starts off with the first injection, which is about 250 milligrams roughly, and then 2 weeks later it's 150 milligrams, and then after that it's every month. You get an injection of whatever, how much, like 150 milligrams. If I've not explained this before, I feel fine, but with this medicine, typically you will get drowsiness, severe drowsiness, like when I was taking this medication, I would literally put my head on the pillow and I'd be asleep, and I have no idea how short amount of time, maybe even like 30 seconds, certainly less than 5. And when you fall asleep that quickly, you start to feel like an old man. And complaining about that side effect to psychiatrists or GPs or anything like that, they don't care. So you know, tell them, but don't expect them to do anything about it. I just don't understand psychiatrists. I don't understand mental health medication, and that's the way they've always wanted it. You can literally not get an answer out of these people, and they'll give you the runaround. They'll give you information that may not exactly be accurate. I believe the term recently that's been coined is alternative facts. You could look at it that way, but sometimes it's just an outright lie. Like, my doctors have been pounding home that my sore throat is attributed to acid reflux, brought upon by alcohol consumption and other factors that induce heartburn. I have come to the understanding that this is not accurate. It's the medication. It's always been the medication. I have definitely made videos explaining this before. It is something that they refuse to admit to. Like, they won't talk. You see them once every few weeks, and the whole meeting they're not talking and or saying anything of significant value, and you walk away and better off. And you can forget about going to Google and looking up the answers, because you're just not going to find them. And I'm not saying that doctors run around unregulated, they don't get audited, and they get to do whatever they want and it's a big party for them, because that's not true. They have to do a lot of hard work, they have to take a lot of shit from their superiors. There are rules and all kinds of things that I don't know anything about because I have no first-hand experience from it. What I'm getting at is it may seem completely absurd how you could get treated by the medical profession. There is a reason, or many reasons, for why they act certain ways. And if you're in a particular situation where you feel that they've wronged you, and you can just figure some way of getting back at them, then I suggest you take it, because they just they're disconnected. your pain, your suffering. They don't care. And I took advantage. I stopped taking the Invega. The Invega was an expensive medicine. I know my case is definitely on the radar. Um, Many more people than I would like have taken an interest in my case, because you don't just refuse to take thousands of dollars worth of medicine and walk away. I'm a voluntary patient, as I said in a previous video, so I made no secret that this was my initial plan, was to stop taking the medicine. Invega, I had noticed that it had a lot of similarities to the Clopixel that I was taking before. And now that I'm off it, I'm going through some of the same withdrawal symptoms, because you do get withdrawal symptoms with antipsychotic medication. Most notably for me, it's the inability to sleep, as I mentioned. My sore throat has gotten better, but I cannot drink alcohol. I can't drink it at all. Not even a drop. Not even like a glass of wine or anything, and I'm sick the next day. And I still have a GP that I saw the other day pounding it home. It's acid reflux. You got GERD. You have heartburn and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't. And they have a mechanism where they act like that you're offending them when you're telling them that they're wrong. And this GP recommended that I have the test where the tube goes down my throat into my stomach again. And I told him, I saw the specialist a year and a half ago to have that test done, and he used the word unremarkable. And I didn't have to have another test for 10 years. Now, this is a different doctor than the doctor that sent me to that specialist. So I have no idea why that would even be necessary. I mean, I don't think he thinks the specialist is lying. Maybe it isn't his jurisdiction. Maybe he needs his own guys to look at it or something. Get a second opinion. Completely unnecessary. He gave no inclination that that's what he thought, but I think that he knew that as well. But he just needed his own guys to have a look at it. I was up for having the test where the tube goes up the nose, down the throat again. I thought that would be more beneficial, because then I could see the exact status of my throat and the area that I'm more concerned with at the moment. And maybe I'll get a phone call back, I don't know. I had some blood tests done. Blood sugar, triglycerides, liver enzymes, all that kind of stuff. And they're all normal. My triglycerides are a little high, and the doctor said, well, it looks as though you may have diabetes on both sides of your family. Well, I do. And in 4 or 5 years, you could become diabetic. But it was a genuine lack of concern. So I don't even think he believes that. I think that was just to put the seed of doubt in my head, put a little bit of fear, because they didn't know nothing about diabetes and all that sort of stuff when my dad was growing up. He used to eat syrup sandwiches, which was normal in England. My dad's 73 years old, and he only got diabetes like 10 years ago. So he got it when he was in his 60s, and this is a lifetime of eating, dried fruit and syrup and sugar in his tea and booze and all this other sort of stuff. I'm only 30, and I actually don't drink that much sugar. I don't drink pop, don't drink energy drinks. I didn't used to eat candy, but for whatever reason, the last 2 months I've been eating a fair amount of chocolate. I don't know why. I just have been. Mostly Christmas and I guess a little bit that tapered off from Halloween or something. I don't know. Booze does have sugar in it, but I don't even drink much booze anymore. The last 6 months, I have not drank much booze at all. I rarely get drunk, and in the last 2 weeks, I've not drank at all. Really, I drank 2 or 3 times, and I've been very ill the day after and during while doing it. So I don't drink alcohol right now. I'm not going to for a long while because I need this Invega to get out of my system. Because I read up that it could take a year for the withdrawal symptoms to go away. A fucking year. Okay, granted it said if you'd have been taking it for a few years, and I only took 2 injections for a month span, so that's not likely the case. But the Clopixel, I did take that for years. And I don't know, I kind of hope the combination of just not quitting the Clopixel cold turkey and switching over to the Invega might alleviate some of the negative side effects or whatever it's supposed to make me feel. And I think it did a little bit, because I had gone a stint in the last 3 years. It was probably about a year ago, where I was off Clopixel for 2 to 3 months, and my sore throat didn't really get better. Partially could have been because of the Clopixel needing a year to be flushed out of my system. Of course, this is all conversation I cannot have with any of my doctors. They end the conversation right there. They interrupt. They don't answer questions. They stop the meeting. They do whatever they have to avoid answering a question. Because you try asking Google or anything like that, how long does it take for this stuff to get out of my body? And it won't tell you. It just will not tell you. Everyone thinks we live in the age of information. We don't. We live in an age of misinformation and people who hoard their beliefs and their so-called facts, and they don't share. They're very secretive, and they use your ignorance as a weapon against you. I'm not all for that. I'm all for open conversation and actually talking to people like they exist. I know doctors don't like to do that. I certainly don't want anybody learning about the medical industry unless you're going into it and then you've been bathed in blood, so to speak, and you're one of them now, one of the cultists. So, you know, you're either one of them or you're not. If you're not one of them, they're not going to tell you anything. Because a big part of mental health medication is not actually got to do with your mental well-being, your sanity, what you consider normal or not, what you figure it means to be a good person, to live a normal life, and all that sort of stuff. It's about discipline. It's about respecting authority. It's about obeying authority. And it can be knowing fear, knowing pain, and feeling isolated. Because the thing is, mental health, the years I've known them, they've actually done a lot of things that promote unhealthy thought process. They actively pursue things that are detrimental to your mental health. Like they'll slip in vague notions of something significantly wrong happening to you in a vague way which they don't explain, and they pretend they forgot they said it the next time you see them, so it's just like you never get an answer, but you heard them and it's in the back of your head, but It's kind of like just putting the thought in your head and then denying that they did it. Like they've crept thoughts like esophageal cancer, cirrhosis of the liver, and that seems to be the general theme of their treatment plan, is that everything wrong with my health, or that I perceive to be wrong with my health, is due to alcohol. Because alcohol is the boogeyman. Alcohol can be blamed for everything wrong with you. But in fact, the medication, I believe, has the added effect of causing a sore throat, in my case, or other things wrong with you, which the doctors can lie about, and it can manipulate you into behavioral correctiveness. It can alter your thought process on certain things. Because ideally what they wanted with me, with this medication, with my sore throat, was for me to turn around and go, oh, I don't ever want to drink again, esophageal cancer, imminent pain, slow agonizing death. And these things can happen with over alcohol consumption, usually attributed with smoking as well. But this is over a course of a lifetime. We're talking like 45 years of heavy abuse and things like that. But I'm nowhere near that. So this sore throat is deliberate, and the information I've received about it is an alternative fact. It's to have scarred me on my culture of drinking alcohol. Well, it didn't work. It isn't ever going to work. I'm never going to stop drinking. I think this was a dirty, disgusting, low-down, underhanded trick that they tried playing on me. And now it's backfired. Because some people go, well, how is that possible? How can you go into the mental health system and they put you on a program where they intentionally give you a sore throat to stop you from drinking, and they don't even tell you? And there's no other, you never hear of anyone else who's gone through anything similar? People just don't want to believe it. They go, you're being paranoid, you've been off your medication, you're thinking thoughts that aren't true. You need to be back on your medication. You need to be taking the medicine that isn't causing the sore throat. You go on ahead and think that if you want. I'm a voluntary patient, and I'm not going to take the medication. Simple as that. The reason they don't tell you that the medication is causing your sore throat, in my case at least, is because they want me to believe it's the alcohol that's causing the sore throat. Because if I know it's the medication, which I do, but knowing that it's the medication negates the thought that it's the alcohol that's causing it. So therefore, the sore throat treatment, which is I'm only cruel to be kind routine, doesn't work. It'd be the same as if every time you try to drink a beer, someone came along and punched you in the stomach. Well, obviously you're gonna know the alcohol has got nothing to do with it. It's some jerk coming up and punching you in the stomach that's the problem. But they don't have the resources, obviously, to constantly hound somebody like that. So they think of a different way of going about it. Keeping them on extended leave so they have no choice but to take medication, and having this medication cause this certain affliction with someone, and then denying that the medicine causes that, and then blocking all resources that would say otherwise, all credible ones. And even the not credible ones are they're not on the internet. You'd figure somebody else would go on the internet and write a big nasty complaint about them, but I've yet to see them, and I just see the same old generic boring information over and over again that doesn't explain anything about my throat. Knowing this, I think I've been picked out for special treatment. I've seen things here and there that are very peculiar. They think I ain't been watching my surroundings, my doctors, the people I deal with, and all that. They thought I was just an idiot. In some ways I am. I think everyone's a bit of an idiot in some ways. But I have been observing everything around me. I note things. I remember things. And I don't think there are many people like me. And I think I know why they didn't ask me if I wanted to take this aversion therapy, because that's what it is. It's aversion therapy. You do something they don't want you to do, you're going to get sick, and you're going to think it's because of the thing you enjoyed doing that's causing it, therefore you won't want to do it anymore. I think the reason I got picked out was they had the opportunity. They saw that I had native status of the Lox Columban, so therefore I got free medication on certain things. I'm sure they had to negotiate with that and that sort of thing. Put me on trial runs of things. They saw an opportunity, is what it is. Probably saw my Facebook and noted that I put up clips from YouTube of Venture Brothers and Brock Sampson. That I like hockey, where I like music videos with body checking and hockey fights and that sort of thing. Don't think there's anything wrong with that. And they use this as an excuse to say, we don't have to tell him. He can be one of the few selected fortunate people to be tortured for years. And the thing is, I knew they are pissed with the idea that I stopped taking the Invega so soon. They planned on me taking it for a minimum of 6 months. Probably longer. They probably wanted me to be on it for years. But like I said, I'm a voluntary patient, and part of that probably has to do with the whole process and the fact that they just don't have enough evidence of me being mentally unwell for them to keep it going if I don't want it to. Like, as far as hospital stays go, when you're put in the mental health section of a hospital, barely been in there at all. I've been in there a month, 2 weeks, and 1 day, and not all at once. And I was well behaved while I was in there. I kept my mouth shut. I ate my food, watched TV. They let us out sometimes. I went out, and that was basically it. So I can't speak too much from what it's like to be in a psychiatric ward in great detail, because I wasn't there very long, and I was in, like, I guess what you'd call minimum security section, like it wasn't locked doors and things like that. There was a security guard I noticed, but he looked, fat, out of shape, and old. He just looked like he was there as, a deterrent for anyone who thought of doing, misbehaving. Because I always knew that, foul language, abusive behavior, and all that sort of stuff is going to get you nowhere in the hospital. a lot of people don't have it together in their head to know that they're just going to make things worse. Sure, they're fucking you over, but if you don't resist in the proper way, then they're going to fuck you even harder. I have been fortunate that I have friends who are within the system who know that they've known me 6 years. They know I'm not going to be a problem, and it's a very complicated situation. I'm just hypothesizing most of what I think they're thinking, because I don't know, because they're never going to tell me, and I'm not there to see it. So all I can do is kind of guess. Anyway, after so many years of injections and medicine and all this, I feel as though I've had enough. And I feel my sore throat will get better with cessation of alcohol and cessation of the medication, which I plan on doing both, at least for the time being. I don't know, it might take a year of no drinking alcohol for the sore throat to go away. I have no idea. They're never going to tell me. It can be kind of spooky because you have to trust people that will lie to you, and it will be detrimental to your immediate health. Maybe in the long run you'd be better off because of their sick, twisted ideology and logic, but supposing they're wrong, that they're just stone cold, completely wrong. There's human error in the medical industry. It happens a lot more than some people think. Right now, I'm not a very big fan of the whole medical system. I think they're a bunch of stupid assholes is what they are. And I don't care what their reasons are. They're going to have to accept when they approached me, when they decided to do the things they did without asking me or informing me, that they were wrong. And they're going to have to pay for that. Because I learned a lot about them. A lot more than they think I did. I'm not even saying everything I learned about them. And I will use this information to make sure it doesn't happen to somebody else, because it really didn't take much for them to deem it necessary for me to get extra treatment when it was unnecessary, because they need healthy test subjects. They need people to create a controlled environment for, and see how things pan out, see how their treatment works, tinker around with it a little bit. Like, I think I've been on a specialized program where they do things a little bit differently, but it is still aversion therapy, and the easiest example, and this doesn't entirely imply to me, but it's a caricature. It's a Stanley Kubrick film, Clockwork Orange, and how the lead character, Malcolm McDowell, had done some crimes, was in jail, got out of jail, went to the psychiatric ward, underwent a treatment, and became violently ill whenever he tried to engage in the areas that he enjoyed before, like women, violence, all that sort of stuff. You should really watch it. It's a good movie. I mean, it's completely absurd in some ways, but very good movie. And that whole mentality of how they treated me. It was less immediately severe in most cases. Like, I was able to live with it for this many years without, completely breaking down, but by no stretch of the imagination was this easy. And I'm still not over the hill yet. Like I said, I've been off the Invega for 15 days, and I may have to be off it for a lot longer for this to actually work. As far as my throat getting back to the way I want it to be, and me being able to drink alcohol again, and it not being an issue. I have learned, and I will be in better check with my alcohol consumption, but no, I do not see this treatment plan they've had for me as being successful, and this whole mentality, as I said, they're only cruel to be kind, that is inaccurate to my situation. They were just cruel. They were just abusive. Their treatment plan didn't work, and the only thing they've accomplished in the last few years of this treatment is being abusive. Now, they can sugarcoat it, write it up, whatever they want. I don't care. The decisions they made about me had nothing to do with me. It had something to do with current social circumstances that I was in. Case in point, Native Affairs paying for medication, the opportunity to zero on me, to make an example of me. Well, I've been talking for quite a while, and yeah, well, I do want to try to get to sleep. I'm not feeling especially tired. I might not be successful with it. Hopefully this feeling of not being able to sleep properly dissipates fairly quickly. I have no idea if it will. Well, yeah, I don't know. Don't know what's going on. I don't know what to think. But there are some things that I'm going to be right about in my hypothesis, and some things I'm going to be wrong. Some things I'm going to need someone to enlighten me a little bit, include me in the conversation, and that way we can properly understand each other. Anyway, losing my ability to get to the point of what I was talking about, so I guess I'll end this video here. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one.